All right. Hey guys, we got Patrick with Lead Snap today. We're going to be talking about lead generation and specifically Lead Snap and how we use it and how we use it to streamline our process regarding to lead generation, keeping track of all the leads that we're generating, and most importantly, how to make money with the leads we're generating. So let me go ahead and bring Patrick in here. All right, we
Hey,
are good to go, Patrick.
good man, good. Yeah, we're actually in the middle of a move, so we played the
Mm.
fun game of taking all our things and putting it in storage, and
The fun game.
that's pretty awesome.
I've moved
Yeah,
probably 7 times with my now wife from the Philippines. We probably moved 7 times. She's like, it's always interesting with you, at least. It's never
yeah.
boring.
You,
So,
you know, this kind of relates back to something that I've learned over the couple years. Is I think that most people they kind of fall into two categories. You fall
mm,
into like optimizer or simplifier, right?
mm,
And
yep,
everyone's got like pieces of both. And my wife and I were both optimizers, which makes our life really stressful because we're trying to get the last juice out of everything.
yeah.
Like we don't want to like take the blinds off the windows or the shades off the windows because we need to sleep with those. But then we like, where are we going to put them now? And it's just like nonstop optimization, and you got to realize that and simplify sometimes. And that's what we're trying to do, and that's a lesson I've learned in my business too, man. Is always trying to optimize everything, and sometimes you got to choose things
Keep
that
it
are
simple.
people
Keep it
really use.
simple, stupid. Keep it
That's
simple,
right.
stupid.
Yeah.
Um, we try to always, it's like, always trying to make things streamlined or whatever. But the easiest way I've been able to do that is, for instance, we have someone that's over website design, someone's over GMB posting, someone's over content, every department has their own head. And then I have three floor managers. So one floor manager, one project manager, and then one assistant project manager. So we have, and then the floor manager, I call him the minority whip because he's the guy that basically makes sure everything is done. Everything is, if you will, they're supposed to do GMB post this way, and he makes sure everything's done the way it's supposed to be versus the way this time they didn't, maybe put in the name, address, phone number, or see previous post link or whatever it may be. But he's the guy that makes sure they do it, and he's also the guy that makes sure they clock in and clock out. Um, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, that sort of thing. But we
So that's
keep
like
our
your
processes really
manager
simple.
slash. That's
Hmm.
that's kind of your manager slash quality control guy, huh?
You got it. Yeah, we just added him recently. So every time we're always looking to, for example, make my life easier, make everybody's life easier. And if something's not working, we don't do it. If we see certain things not working, so we try to keep things simple, not always trying to, if you will, make things more complicated. Even
Yeah.
in conversation, I'm the same way. I'm like, just make it simple. You overcomplicating this thing.
Yeah.
So, but yep.
Usually like 90% of the effort. Like I mean, you put in all this effort and you get like 90% of the way there, and then you have to put in like three times as much effort to get the last 5 or 10%. And a lot of times it doesn't make that much sense, right? Like if you're trying to rank your Google My Business and you've got it kind of, you know, 95%, like you've got it like 95% of the way there, there's no need to do all this extra stuff. You might be better
Hmm.
off a whole second GMP rather than like taking this thing 400 layers deep, right? For all this extra effort, what extra benefit are you going to give to it? And that's not always obvious, right? But you got to kind of be paying attention to that stuff. One of the big things, man, there's nonstop work in this industry, right? So you have to think about what's the most valuable use of your time. And for you,
Yep.
like, and for me, like creating SOPs and stuff like this, manage like setting up our team to run better is a really good use of our time, right?
Yep.
Whereas you kind of fall into these traps of, well, I can do this, so I will do it. And then it's like you're doing a $5 an hour activity instead of $1,000 an hour activity. And that stuff at the end of the day, you've earned, 8 times 5. So you earn $40 instead of
Yep.
$8,000. And then you repeat that a bunch of times and you kind of look back at your business and you're like, man, why am I not moving forward? It's
That's
those daily.
I was just talking about this earlier today, and then I was talking about it to my wife. I said, "Y'all realize I'm sitting here waiting in line for this shot." I said, "This is actually costing me money."
Lots of
I
money.
said, because most people don't think about it as like, do you even know what your time is worth? And it's like, I did this with these guys. I said, so for example, and most people aren't going to do it. It's like if you got 52 weeks in a year and every week has, 2 weekend days, it's 145. So you got about 260 days a year. And if you want to make, let's just say you want to make 120,000 a year, you want to hit six figures, you got 260, if you will, 260, your time is worth on a weekly basis, was it? Sorry, 120,000. So you got 52 weeks in a year. You know, that's $2,300 in a week. And you got 260 days. So your day, and you divide it up and then figure out, okay, this is how much my time is worth. Like if you want to hit seven figures a year, your time is literally worth like it's
Yeah, you gotta
it's
be
like
over
400 and
$700 a
something
day.
dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And most people don't even know what the value of their time is. So if they want to make that 120,000 and there's only 260 days they're going to be working, they need to earn $461 in that day. And then they divide that by 8, then every hour for them is worth $57. So anything
Yeah.
less than $57, if it was, let's say, I don't know, doing the graphics, if they could pay a graphic artist $20, to do it, then pay the graphic artist. Otherwise, you're costing yourself money. You're actually not saving anything.
Right. Right.
And
You
then
always
the
have to be
higher you
thinking about
go,
that opportunity cost, right? What are you giving up by doing this? Like if you're doing this like $10 an hour activity or $12 an hour activity, and you have the ability to do a $57 an hour activity, and I would even say in this, like with what we do and what we're talking about, once you kind of get through the entry level stuff of this, then our time is worth way more than. I mean, it's like I'm talking a thousand. I want to be working at $1,000 an hour activity, $57 an hour. I don't want to do that, right? Because if I can be out closing a deal or kind of strategizing on a website, or in my case with the software, like if I can build a feature that's going to make it so more people come in, that's the best use of my time. So some of you guys, what would make a lot of sense is just to like journal your time and keep track of your time for a week, and then look at what it would cost to hire some of these people. And maybe you're not there yet. Maybe it doesn't make sense to hire these people yet, but just having a structure to kind of put that on there. And it's tough to like sit there
it's
and
tough when it's tough when you first begin it, but it's like after you do it, it's like, whoo, why didn't I begin this sooner?
yeah.
For me, it's like there's a book I'm reading. It's by Dan Kennedy on time management. And one of the things is like have a set time. Like, I used to, before you even roll out of bed, most people do is pick up your phone, looking at your messages, and you're already emailing or texting people and you haven't got out of bed, much less
Yeah,
kiss
you're
your wife
reacting
or
from
kiss
the
your
beginning.
husband. So for me, I don't even touch my phone anymore. I get out of bed, do what I got to do, eat, have breakfast, have coffee, then go downstairs and then check my email. I check my email in the morning, afternoon, end of day. That's it. And I will not sit there all day checking email like most people do. This is a waste of time. I don't even get on social media but twice a day. I get in the beginning of the day, end of the day. And I literally only check things where people have tagged me. If you don't tag me, I'm not checking it, because I've eliminated that part out of my life. And then whenever I first got, project manager, and I said, I need you to check my emails, that was like a big relief. But at the same time, it was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to do this. And I'm scared to death they're going to screw something up. And then come to find out you're doing it, and it's like, whew, this is so amazing. You don't have to worry about all this crap. And it keeps a lot of negativity out of your life too.
Mhm.
Staying off of social media, staying out of the email box, and letting someone else handle it. Because they know, for instance, if it comes across and it's to me just straight up negative, I don't even want to see it. Just you deal with it. I don't want it because I don't need that in my life. You know, as we were talking
Absolutely.
earlier, I'm not a very good customer service person. So.
Well, I think especially when you're kind of in that mindset of the negativity and kind of getting pushed into that and being reactive, right? You really have to manufacture and structure things how you want, because you're going to have like your day is going to unfold a certain way, and either you're going to like take charge of it or the world is going to decide how it is, right? And if you don't structure it and plan it out, then it's probably not. I mean, you're not going to like pilots. They don't take off and just like, let's see where we land based on how the wind blows. They've got a plan. They've got things structured out, and they're monitoring things to make sure it goes in that direction, right? And if you're not doing that, then
I pretty much just we give our teams, because I know you do the same thing, the ability. I tell them all the time, I say, if you find something that'll make your job easier, just let me know. I'll look at it and then I'll invest in it if I think we could use it. Because anything to make your job easier, make my job easier, and we keep moving like a well-oiled machine. Because one of the reasons why I got the floor manager too is because now I can go, okay, we have these systems in place for automation, and if someone's order gets through and we don't catch it for some reason, the automation didn't go through, then I want to figure out, okay, why didn't it catch it?
Yeah.
So we can make sure it doesn't happen again. So that's why we brought in, if you will, floor manager mainly to, make sure everything's, control the quality and everything else. So, but a lot of those things have to be in place.
You have to get that feedback from the people in the trenches to be able to make those adjustments, and having somebody like that where like problems can funnel up to, that can handle it and then potentially like consult you. Yeah. It's critical.
It's a time saver. You don't want to spend the money doing it, but it helps 1,000-fold, because I told him, said, he can actually go to the, manager or my project manager, and project manager communicates with me if ever needed and stuff. So we got a couple of questions coming in here. Or people know us. So, hey Patrick, great seeing you on here, mate. Facebook user.
Sounds like
hey, Jason. Yeah, Jason's from South Africa. I appreciate this one. You're not paying attention to these guys. You're paying the price.
I appreciate that.
Graham's in Australia. Time is your most precious resource. Don't squander it. Don't give it away for peanuts. I agree. This is the one thing that you can't get back is your time, and most people waste it. That's why I've told my own family. I said, well, I don't have time to call you or whatever. It's like, well, one thing my parents taught me is like, you have time for the people you love and that are important. Things that are important in your life, you'll make the time for you. So Jason says letting go. Correct. We were just talking about this, me and Jason. Letting go equals growth. He's learning that now. Got a question. Jason says, how do you structure your day, Patrick?
Yeah. So there's been a lot of iterations. It started with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I put that into place. I had a lot of like time management issues. There's certain things that are going to come easy to us. That wasn't one of them for me. Like having the discipline to like plan things out. So I moved on. I'm a part of this mastermind in Nashville called Traffic and Funnels, and they have this productivity pack. I think you can get it for like $9, but warning, you'll get thrown into their funnel, and they're trying to push it and
everything else.
Yeah. It's an expensive program, right? And like but the productivity pack is $9, and that's kind of how I've morphed everything too. So basically, the way it looks is you're going to kind of look at your goals and work backwards, right? And you're going to say like, here's where I'm trying to go. This is what needs to be done in a month. So you kind of have like a to be completed, a radar, and then you say, okay, here's my monthly goals. Now let me like break those down into weekly, and let me break those down into daily. And then every Sunday, I basically go through and plan out what I'm going to do for the week. And I'm filling in like hours of like, okay, on Monday between like 8 and 9 a.m., I'm going to be in like the live with William on YouTube. And like, I've got it all laid out, because you make like kind of a list of the things to be completed and things that You only want to have a few things on that. And then you have a radar with a bunch of like stuff. So you can kind of empty out your brain of all these obligations that you know you have to do. You got to have them somewhere, right? And then when you kind of finish your stuff early, you've got a checklist. So that way you're not just like bouncing, let me check email here, or let me do this. You just got to follow your schedule. And if you kind of like set your goals and work backwards and follow your schedule, you're going to hit it every time, right? So you get better at estimating it. And it takes a few hours. Like I'll spend 2 hours on a Sunday doing that, but I go faster during the week because of it. Like at the beginning, I was like, man, like this is taking forever. But then I've just noticed looking back on my week, I'm like, oh, okay. I got everything that was important done. And I like didn't spend time doing stuff that doesn't matter. I think I talked about this on one of my calls recently. I heard a really good quote that stuck with me is like, we have this idea that like learning comes from experience, but I think learning actually comes from the reflection of experience, because like Saturdays, I look back on the week and I'm like, okay, how did I do like from an education standpoint? How did I do from like a fitness standpoint, a relationship standpoint? And I review that. In my next week, I can kind of take those lessons and I can put that towards those and say, okay, I need to make these adjustments. So that like Saturday review is huge because that reflection on things.
And what's the name of this, or where can someone get it? I just had someone ask, so I'm like looking it up while you're doing this. But what's the name
do a search for Traffic and Funnels Productivity Pack. And if you guys aren't tuning into Taylor Welsh, that guy is brilliant guy. He's the leader of the mastermind that I'm involved in. And
it's called productivitysecretscourse.com, and I'm going to drop it in chat for everybody. Y'all can get it there. Another good book is by Dan Kennedy from Amazon. You can get that. It's called No BS Time Management for Entrepreneurs. I was actually talking to one of my mentees about this today. And time management and all that sort of thing. So and reflecting. There's another good book. Everybody knows this one, which is Think and Grow Rich. There's another one. It's called Dream and Grow Rich. And that was one of the first books my mentor ever told me to go read and get. It's a blue book, old book. I don't even think you can get it anymore, but basically I have to look it up and see. But it literally talks about planning your day, but not in weeks in advance or anything like that. Literally, it's like, when you get up, what do I need to do today? And then literally write it out. Then at the end of the day, you go, what did I get accomplished? You're becoming aware of it, basically, is what it's trying to get you to do. And at the end of the day, you can at least go, now that I know I got these things done, I need to be grateful for having gotten these things done, versus thinking about what have I actually accomplished? What should I try to accomplish tomorrow? That sort of thing. It's the same thing with, knowing how valuable your time is, just by knowing how much you should be earning per hour when you're doing stupid shit or sitting there in front of a computer or watching TV. You're going to be saying, well, this little episode I just watched cost me, $3,000 of time just burning, wasting, sitting here, so that's another one. Dream and Grow. I'm going to put them both into the chat for everybody.
It's like, here's what I think about this, guys, is like the hardest part of this is not knowing. It's not like identifying what you need to do. It's the discipline that it takes to kind of do it. Like a lot of you guys, you already know what to do on a lot of this stuff, and you haven't like executed. And until you make that decision, it doesn't matter what system you put in place. It's an internal decision. And, sometimes it takes a bunch of these like series of events that happen in your life to like flip that switch. And then when it happens, you're like forever changed, right? You see somebody that there's probably, for those of you guys that have the skill set that aren't making a lot of money, there's other people that are like less qualified than you guys that are making more money just because they made the decision that they're going to do this stuff. Right. So that was kind of how it was for me. I my first like 2 years, I think it took me 2 years to go from like 0 to 4,000. And then I went to this event and I saw these guys that were like crushing it. And I'm asking myself, I'm like, what do they have that I don't have? Are they smarter? Are they like better at this like technical skill? Like, no, I don't think so. I spent the last 10 years playing poker for a living, and that was like super cutthroat where it's like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting next to someone at a table. I'm like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I graduated from Harvard Law, and now I'm like, so that like I was competing against those people, and now I'm like looking at these people. One guy worked in an auto parts store, and he got up to like $100,000 a month a few years, and so it clicked in my head that they had made the decision and they had kind of executed, and they had just done more of what had got me to 4,000. They had just repeated that, this guy 25 times, right? So that next 12 months, I went from 4,000 to $40,000. Actually, I went from 4 to 8 over a couple months, and then I went from 8 to 40 over the 12 months following. And it was just that decision. And it had taken 2 years for me to get to that spot. But then, in 12 months, I had made that decision, and we went from 8 to 40K in 12 months, right? So,
Yep.
it's
That's what I tell people. Honestly, it's like the past. What I've done SEO for 20 years, a little over 20 years. This last year is when everything came together for me. I'd read Gary Vee's books years ago. I'd read Russell Brunson's books years ago. I'd read Tony years ago, and then this year is when it went boom and clicked. And then it's just been a scale since. I mean, it's been successful ever since. But the name of that book I was telling you about, sleep. It's not Sleep and Grow Rich. It's called Grow Rich While You Sleep. It's by Ben Sweetland. It's one of the best books ever read. It's an older book, but it is available on Amazon. I did post it in here. Gene Swari says just what he needed today. Time management is not a strong point for me. It's for example, in Dan Kennedy's book, he goes through, he's like, literally, he has rules of engagement. And I'm even him on corporate is like, William will not be available during the entire day to answer your emails. William answers emails on this. And matter of fact, William doesn't even have his own personal email. And Dan Kennedy says, don't even bother calling me, because I won't pick up the phone. He doesn't answer personal phone calls. He doesn't answer personal emails, none of that, because you have to do that. Otherwise, people will just eat away at your time, So got another person here. Always take away some great nuggets when I see Patrick on a call. That traffic funnels is great and fantastic. What Jason said. So here's the funnel we're referring to, Patrick, it's productivitysecretscourse.com /productivity-pack. Another one is, we got people in here, they love talking about this. This is why we've been talking about this. We actually talked about this on, I think, Saturday or Friday too, with someone else. Today Matters by John Maxwell. It's a great book. Yeah, Patrick, you were a professional poker player, were you not, or a semi-pro at best, at least?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not like you're getting like a PGA card or something.
Yeah, right? Your semi-pro basically means you're living off of poker.
So 10 years, my only income, was poker. But then we took the poker money and I bought houses. So we had 4 houses that we bought in Vegas, and then we turned those into like Airbnb rentals. So then we had additional money coming in from that. So, it went well, and the kind of transition out of it, I ended up hating it after like 6 years, because you start running into degenerates and people that can't afford to be losing, like people screaming at you. Just like it gets old.
You're telling me before, that's how you got out of it, because you started feeling bad about taking people's money that you shouldn't have been playing to begin with.
Right. It's a double-edged sword. When you're empathetic, you're kind of like looking at someone at the table and I'm like, okay, this person, I feel this energy from this person now, and then you crush them, and then like it doesn't shut off. So
I used to justify it because I'd go to church and they'd tell me, say, well, you're not, it's gambling is against the Bible. And I would straight up tell the pastor, I said, no, it's not. Show me one place in the Bible where it says gambling is a sin. And I told him, I said, but that being said, it does say don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't plan traps for your brother. And I said, that's straight up, Texas Hold'em, lying, cheating, stealing. and placing traps. That's what the whole game's about. So
Yeah,
I kind
you've
of got
got
out of
that.
it too for that reason too, because of that. Brandon, I wonder why it takes so long for it to click. It still hasn't yet for me, but I keep trying. So I had originally read Russell Brunson's books on .com secrets, right?
Great books.
Um, and then I read his second one, third one. I'd read them probably twice, and then I read Sell Like Crazy by Sabri. That book is the book that literally made it click for me, and I went, aha, that's what he means. And then I went back through Russell Brunson's books, and then that's when everything kind of clicked for me, and that's for that aspect of it, and that's all happened like a year and a half ago or so. It's brought around the same time where everything started clicking for me, and I started doing some things. So, Facebook user says, "Glad you're a bit more friendlier now, Pat, or user friendly, Pat. Why are there are profiles and GMB have no images, no information, no things, but they are number one?" It all depends. Would have to see the actual GMB. There's 50 million reasons, yes, and why GMB will be number one without actually seeing it and auditing it. It's not, I can't say, and I know Patrick's not going to be able to say, but that's the
Yeah,
question most
it's so
people ask all
relative
the
too.
time. I've seen Chris Palmer rank a GMB with lorem ipsum text in a GMB drive stack. So it can be done. It's just a matter of what are you doing behind the scenes. It's like same thing. We go back to funnels. He's talking about this one funnel. They're relentless. It's like most people see a successful business and they're like, well, I can do SEO just as good as them. Why am I not making as much money? Well, do you know if you will, the underbelly of the business? Do you know, if you will, the iceberg below the water? What else are they doing? What other funnels? What other offers? All the other stuff that makes it worth it. It's like I had someone the other day ask me why I do websites so cheap. Is that a loss win? Yes, it is, because I'm pulling them in for this offer, and then I upsell them across everything else, and then the lifetime value, which most people don't even know. What is the lifetime value of your client? How much does it even cost to get a client? Most people don't know these things, and you don't know them, therefore you can't be successful because you don't know these things. So it takes a while to actually sit down and go, okay, how much do I actually make from a client? How much does it cost for me to obtain a client? And these are things. It's like most people in rank and rent, and I know you deal with it, but why are you go to rank and rent and you hear I can make lots of money off of it, and then you go into it and you let me try 10 different niches. Try one niche, get really good at it before you even decide to even go to another niche. But that sort of thing.
Yeah,
It's,
I think there's a ton of value in niching down. That was
yep.
part of what accelerated the growth for us. I tried a few different niches. I didn't know which one was going to be good for me, and there was ones where I was like, this niche is no good for me. Like this is not good, right?
Yep.
And then we got good at one, and we kind of went across the whole United States with it. And it's been, I mean, the benefits once you get into that spot are huge because now you know the pain points of the clients. You know the types of leads that they're going to want. Like, hey, I know which words I want to optimize for. I know what my writers know what they want to write content about, and then we niche down. So there's a pretty tight community within our niche, and we get referrals nonstop because all these people are doing the same thing. So they're not all in the same city. So it's easy for them to refer. They know each other. They're like, they see their friends struggling in Seattle and they're like, oh, well, you got to talk to Patrick then for like, this is the guy. Right. So like that created a tremendous referral source for us by kind of being within one niche and one niche where they communicate. It's, we had one lady who came to us and, she came the first time and she was like, how much is it? I was referred to you. And I was like, hey, it's this price. And she's like, well, that's a lot more than I had hoped. And I'm like, well, yeah, sorry. If you want to buy I think I mentioned this a few weeks ago. If you want to buy a Ferrari, you don't pay Honda Civic prices. Right. So
Yep.
she came back a few weeks later and she said, I've asked like 9 people and you guys were referred 6 times. So I want to pay. She's like, I want to pay for more. So the reason we were referred so many times is because we were making, right, and that made the sale a lot easier, and that means that we can ask for higher prices. Hey William, I signed up for Lead Snap.
Yeah, I'm looking right now, matter of fact, because we do so much stuff that's kind of like what video you're talking about, but sign up.
You want to jump
sign
into
up
it?
today. Sign up today. I don't see any reference to a video inside the description. So, Brelon, if you could, let me know what that is. I don't know what you're talking about. Inside the description, he signed up today. I don't have a video reference inside of my description, maybe on the actual landing page of LeadSnap, but I don't think so. So yeah, drop a question below, Brelon, and we'll answer it. So I just wanted to look and see what he was talking about, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. When you sign, Brayon, when you sign in, there's like a video that's going to come in your email, and then there's a whole video section within the platform. Let me just share. I'll just kind of share my screen real quick. And
yep.
All right. Okay, so if you kind of come up here and go to video training, there's a lot of different videos in here, and then we have a YouTube channel. And if you're not in the group, jump in that, because just like William, we have our calls in there where we're going over not only stuff about how the software works, but how to rank sites, how the business model works, how to close deals, all the different parts of the business that we've dealt with. But there's a lot of videos in here that will take you through different things, like how to connect your website, set up your spam filters, heat map, there's the phone system, which I think we got into. Did we get into that last week? The phone system?
No, we didn't.
Let me stop sharing. There we go.
No, I don't think we did.
Okay. Yeah, I think that might have been on. Was that on the Saturday?
We went on over the phone system that we did. That was, I believe, last week.
Okay. Yeah. So we've got. I mean, there's a lot of parts and pieces in here. So there's a lot of different videos, and William and I are making.
He has trainings inside GMB Pro. He comes in GMB Pro, and that's usually on Saturdays. It's not always going to be all the time, mainly because it falls on the weekend, and sometimes I have emergencies come up. Like this past weekend was my daughter's birthday. But generally speaking, on Saturdays around the same time, and then we're doing a weekly live in which we're going over different aspects of the video. Then he also has a private training group, Rayon. And then on top of it, he also has his own videos and everything in the back end, because he's always just trying to make things easier on everybody. So, and they do their weekly, and then you do weekly lives as well. So,
yeah, Wednesdays. Ours are Wednesday nights, and we've got it set up now where if you're in the Facebook group, you don't have to have like a subscription to the software to like view the lives or be a part of them. So if you guys are looking for some of the strategy, like there's a lot of things from watching William's training. There's a lot of things that we do the same, but there's some things that we do different, right? So,
yep.
And like we've got different styles. Sometimes, going back to what we're talking about, sometimes it takes hearing it from a different angle for things to really click. I think part of it comes down to if you have a comfortable life and everything's cool, then it might take, like, you might not have this sense of urgency to kind of change things so that you really kind of get fired up. Like I was working as a software engineer when I went from poker to being a software engineer to like getting into the rank and rent business model. And it took me 2 years to get to 4,000 because I was comfortable, right? I was making good money. But at some point my boss was a jerk and I was like, okay, this sucks. So that was kind of like my motivation. And that the timing of when I made that decision or it like clicked was really relevant to that, where it's just like, and I think it's important. You got to you guys know yourselves, and you may not be good salesmen to other people, but most of us are good salesmen to ourselves. And we can like talk ourselves in and out of things, like we can justify things, right? And
Yep.
we know when we're starting to do that. I think it's important for you to play some mind games with yourself if you're having a hard time clicking. Like, what's the story you need to tell yourself so that you can mentally get there? So I've shared this in my group, that the story about Michael Jordan. If you guys haven't watched The Last Dance on Netflix, it's really good. But Michael Jordan's like the best basketball player, arguably the best basketball player in history, right? So he gets in this game. They're like in the playoffs, and he has a bad game, and he's walking off the court, and this rookie, who was the guy that he was kind of like guarding and playing against, says like, "Nice game, Mike," and talks like a little bit of trash. And Michael Jordan, like, the next game they play, this guy doesn't shoot the ball. Like he almost is like not on the court because Jordan's just like all over him, like stealing the ball from him, blocking. Like, he doesn't give this guy an opportunity to breathe. And they asked Jordan, and they asked Jordan about it, and he's like, "Yeah, when I was walking off the court in the first game, the rookie said, 'Nice game,' and I was like, I'm not going to stand for that." And they asked the rookie, and the rookie's like, "I didn't say anything, man. I didn't say that." And Jordan wouldn't get away from saying that he did it. And then like 20 years later, they asked him, like, did this guy ever say that? And he's like, "No, he never said it." But he had to tell himself that story. He knew what it took for him to get to that next level, and he created that story. So like, that's one of the best, one of the best athletes in sports history, one of the most recognizable people in the world, Michael Jordan. That's the mindset that it took. And if you guys are struggling to get this to click, you got to sell yourself on whatever that story is to get you to where you want to be, right? You have to hack your own brain and like play that game and get you there. Because if you're comfortable, like this could go on forever. And there's a big difference, right, between kind of these marginal days where you're working on someone else's time and you don't get to live life on your own rules. So I'll tell you, like, right now we're moving out of our place here in Nashville. We're going to New York City for the next few days, and then we're going to spend a month in Europe, right? So my wife and I, we're going to go to Barcelona. We're taking a train to Paris, and then we're going to go to London. So we're going to these different places, and like, I would have never been able to do that if I was working for someone else. But my wife wants to see some of her family over there, so we get to live life on our terms, and we don't get these days back, right? We're like, whatever we do, this day's gone, right? So if you're spending it not doing what you want, like, that one's gone forever, and you got to use some of that to create the urgency of like, let me get on the other side of this so that I can start living my days on the other where it's on my terms, right? And that kind of, when my boss as a software engineer was like, "Hey, everyone has to be in the office and you got to be here at this time." I was like, whoa, I was remote at the beginning. I was like, this is a job. I'm like, I didn't know that's what was going on here. Right. And I'm like, I don't want that at all. So, it lit a fire. And then, a lot of people who've been following us, we spent most of like 2018 and 2019 just traveling all over the world. And then like this last, spring, we bought an RV and we basically traveled all over the Northeast in the RV. So like, there's there's a lot of benefits to this, to kind of getting on the other side of it. And I hope that some of this can inspire you guys to have this urgency, even if you're comfortable, to realize what you're giving up by living on someone else's terms.
You're building someone else's dreams.
That's right. Yeah. They're paying you because it's better for them to pay you than it is for them to do the work, right? They're profiting from this, right? And like, we've been indoctrinated to think that this is just how it is, right? But we start to get this type of skill set, it doesn't have to be how it is. It could be how it is if that's how if you wanted to maintain. Some people are cut out to be entrepreneurs, and some people are cut out to kind of work for other people, and that's great. It's like, for me, I wasn't cut out to work for somebody else. And I had this kind of like, I want to have an exceptional life,
I remember that happened to me whenever I actually first started playing poker. I'd get mad at it because it'd be like, you go in there for an hour and earn what most people earn in like, days or many times months. And it's like, why in the hell am I even working a full-time job? And then you have days, of course, where you lost, but it's like, I wanted to live when I wanted to live. So
that's right. You wanted it on your terms. Cool. You want to jump into, like, I know part of this is like, hey, LeadSnap, we've been talking about like a lot of mindset, and that's important, right? Because honestly, the mindset is probably like 90% of it, and the technical stuff is like 10% of it. Just like applying it. You've got to
Yeah,
do
I
the
mean,
mindset.
you can do that, but honestly, I like the whole mindset thing. I was actually talking to someone else when we did a live, I think on Saturday about it, because I think most people, that's the biggest setback for most people trying to even do an agency. Software is great, but if you don't have the mindset or don't know even, I mean, it's not even a matter of I was just talking to this mentee today, was about, how do you get the mindset? How do you get past thinking, if you will, you're not good enough or you'll never do this? Because you'll be trying to do something and then the little devil comes, whispers in your ear and tells you you're not good enough. How do you
Mhm.
get past that? And for me, it was forcing myself to take chances. Like, I remember, you'll probably think it's crazy. You might think it's crazy. My brother-in-law, I'd be playing a tournament and I'd throw a Jack 8 offsuit, not even suited. He said, "Why are you doing that? It's a decent hand. It's not terrible. It's not great. Why don't you try it sometimes?" And then I started trying it, and I started hitting because I started giving myself opportunities, or believing in myself. And without doing that and putting yourself in situations in which you would normally not, if you will, do things, or you would normally, in their right mind, I'm not going to go for it, then you're not ever going to win. You're not ever going to win in SEO. You're
Yeah.
not going to ever win in life or anything. I mean, I've had people, another crazy one is like, I've been sitting next to people at a poker table and going, guy goes all in. Everybody goes fold, 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 fold. Comes to me, I go, smells like ace king. I call queen 9. And then sure enough, queen hits. And he's like, how in the hell could you call knowing I had ace king? I said, I didn't think you were going to hit. I gave myself that chance. But the problem is most people don't give themselves that chance or take chances on themselves. Therefore, they never, ever, ever start winning. And you have to start winning to keep winning, and give yourself the opportunity. So,
Yeah. The saying, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? And
yeah.
I'm a big believer in like these quotes like this, where it's kind of like a guiding light, where you're in this situation and you're like, okay, this is the quote that like, for me, fortune favors the brave. That's a big one, right? Or you get what you tolerate, right? So you're in these, and if that's how I want to live my life, and I get into these situations where I'm not sure of like what direction I want to go in, those kind of like ring me back and be like, okay, you get what you tolerate. Am I going to tolerate this, or am I going to like do something about it, right? Yeah, so it's huge, and you have to manufacture the mindset, guys. Nobody comes through like no one just like shows up and it's just like everything's good, like Elon Musk or
Yeah.
whoever you like. That's something that's been created, right? That's from work and effort, and you have to like identify your weakness and either find somebody that can do it better or improve that part within yourself, right? So, but being a problem solver, right? That's what we are when we start these businesses. We're not just like SEO people and GMB people. We're problem solvers, and you have to be able to have enough self-awareness to identify the issue and then deal with it, and be okay with like, hey, I've got all these flaws, and the person
Yeah.
that if you want to be like, if you want to make millions of dollars and you're not there yet, you're going to have to change who you are to be able to get there. And there's a reason we're kind of like an average of the decisions that we've made over the past, right? So if you're not where you are, then like that's the world giving you if you're not where you want to be, that's the world giving you feedback on like, hey, you're going to have to make some changes. There's a gap between these two. And you get frustrated because your expectations are higher than what your habits are. Whether you're like, a billionaire or a homeless person, we have 24 hours in the day, and your success and your productivity comes from your habits, right? So you need to change these habits, or you're going to be like, you're basically going to be doing the same thing. Like the people that are more successful, they have better habits. The way they spend their time is completely different, right? So that's great because that means it's achievable for us, right? We can make those adjustments, right? There's a lot of people that whatever this is, whatever this insecurity that you have, there's somebody else that is worse at this insecurity than you, that is more successful than you, but they like, they're not letting it limit them. They're not like held hostage by it. Right. It's just,
I literally heard Gary V talking about this. And he said, for instance, someone asked, he said, I do believe in myself. I do think I can do it, but something keeps holding me back. Some little voice comes in my head and tells me that it's not possible. And he said, I would almost guarantee you, if not someone around you, very likely your mother or father. And he said, you have to learn to realize that came from outside of you and not from within you. And until you recognize that it had nothing to do with you, then you'll always accept it. And I was just talking about this with someone else. Brayon mentions you have to visualize yourself and, literally transform and change yourself. I was talking about this earlier. Is like talking about I used to do this, a vision board, taking a vision board and literally cutting out, might sound stupid, cutting out pictures of the type of car you like, type of house you want, type of places you want to go, and literally putting it in front of your face. If you have to walk out a door and go to a job every day, and putting that on the door, that's what I used to do. And literally seeing that's what I want. And then whenever you go out on every daily basis, even when I had a job, I looked at every job as a stepping stone. How is this going to get me to where I want to be? Even when I had jobs, for instance, I remember my last one was the medical. I was doing the SEO for just lots of projects we had. And I remember my boss came at me. I was making probably $60,000 something a year, which is decent for me being a single guy. And he came up to me and said, do you mind taking a pay cut? Because he was going to have to file bankruptcy and everything. And the only reason I was able to say, yeah, sure, I'll take a pay cut was because I was earning an extra 40,000 plus in SEO from just a handful of clients. And I was able to say, sure, because I was already banking close to six figures when I was working doing that, only because I was doing SEO. But it's something that you have to infuse your mind with books, videos, training, overwrite your preconditioning. And most important, keep your circle small and get people around you like William and Patrick who are where you want to be. Brayon, I'm pretty sure, I don't know that much about Brayon, but Brayon, I'm pretty sure is a self-help coach or a coach in general. And, but that's exactly right. Like I tell everybody, it's like read 10 pages in the morning, 10 pages in the evening. I fill my brain in the morning and I'll wash it at night, because there's so much you don't realize that by being around a lot of the people you're around, they have a lot of junk that they carry and baggage they carry with them. And when you're helping these people, you're going to take on a lot of that, if you will, nastiness sometimes. And sometimes the good thing, like I love hanging out with Chris and stuff and hanging out with Patrick because it helps my day and it makes me feel better. I may be having a bad day and then I get on with one of you guys and I'm like, it gives me energy. And that's because I'm around certain people, so you have to do that. Be around certain people, cut out the people that are negative. You can't be hanging around everybody. Can't be going out and partying and doing all that type of junk. Can't be filling your brain with garbage. Can't be filling your brain with news and everything else, because otherwise you're just going to get depressed,
Yeah, you got to really guard that energy, right? Pay attention to your energy cycles.
Good to see you, Devin.
What influences you and how does it move you? Like William's saying there, like being around certain people is going to boost his energy. Pay attention to that and affect this. They say that, what is it? You're an average of like the 5 or 6 people you spend the most time with. Like,
yep.
Don't spend time with people that you don't want to be like, because you're going to get pulled in that direction one way or another. Right. And, you need to, sometimes you got to cut people out of your life, even if you love them, just like, or not.
Now, we were just talking about this the other day too. It's like if you want to have, and I know some people hate the term, but if you want to have what the top 1% or even the top 5% have, you better start hanging around the top 5% type people.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hang around the other 95% and expect to get the type of results that you want. if you want to make, 500,000 or more a year, you can't hang around the, 95% that are in the bottom. You have to hang around other people with different mindsets because they look at the world in a different way, versus everybody else. So, Facebook user says, you are a gardener of your own mind. That is absolutely correct. I believe that's Jeff. So, Brown, yeah, I thought you were it's probably someone else I'm thinking of. I'm just a guy who built a nice 6-figure SEO agency from the ground up, but I want to get to the level you two are on. Six figures of 7 is a hop, skip, and a jump, really. And but yeah, that's why I follow and truly listen to your wisdom. You don't have too many people to hang around. Okay, so I'm not saying this is an excuse, right? And you're listening to us, right? But there's not going to be that many people to hang around. When you get to if you want to hang around the top 5% or top people that are looking to grow like yourself, you're not going to find that many. Most people, and I remember Dan Pina, he was talking about this, and he says most people that are, if you will, in the top 5%, when I say that, I mean 500,000 or more, millionaire, billionaire, stuff like that, they are not going out and hanging out with people. They're not going to the movies. They're not watching TV all the time. They're not going to the club. They're not doing any of that shit. They're not hanging out with their friends. Most of them are introverts. It's something like 2% of them are actually loudmouth, boisterous type people. Most of them are actually calm, collective, and to themselves type people. Jason says, did poker contribute to your mentality, Patrick?
Yeah, 100%. It's kind of funny. I did this for 10 years, and I'll tell you, when I started, they banned online poker in the United States, which meant I had to be in the casino. And then they legalized it in Nevada, which was like, get me out of this.
Then you wanted to move to Nevada.
Yeah. I mean, I lived in Vegas, right? So it was like, I was like, get out of the casino. And then, I started to, the sites, when they release them, they're terrible. There's no way to take notes on people. And poker was a game that's all about people and their tendencies. So that's where I learned programming. And then I learned this skill set. I don't do things like halfway. So it was like 16 hours a day for 4 months. And I had built this poker note-taking tool, and I had the skill set. And, I started to try to apply for jobs. And I listed, I wanted to be honest on my resume, right? So I listed on my resume, played professional poker player, 10 years. And everyone, I got no responses, 0 responses. No one was interested in it. But looking back on it, they say that bamboo tree grows for 3 feet underground, and then it shoots up 80 feet in 1 year. And that was kind of that time when I was programming and playing poker. That was, I was growing underground, but people couldn't really see it yet. And looking back on how much poker helped, so much, I don't advise anyone to take this route as a way to become mentally tougher and things like that. But, when you're playing in this thing that's super cutthroat, they say that 5% of people make all the money. 5% of people make money in poker, right? And then 1% make really good money. And to get into that 1%, it was excruciating amount of work. And then I went from that with the same attitude into being a software engineer. And someone had they didn't hire me because of my resume. They hired me because they saw the software that I had built for taking notes on poker. And they're like, this is awesome. So they hired me, and I took that same attitude into that job. And no one else, all the other software engineers were going through the motions. And I had learned what it took to how much work it took to be successful. And I've learned so much about people. Now, on the sales calls, when you're playing poker and if someone would talk during a hand, I would almost never make a bad decision. If I could just get them to say anything, it's so much information that was given. So you take that mentality, and then you get on a sales call with a contractor who runs a plumbing company, and they say something a certain way, and I'm like, oh, now I can structure everything, right? So there's so much that I took away from it. Emotional control. Something bad happens to you at the poker table, you need to instantly flip. And
Yeah, now that you mention that, one of my mentees, his name is Jason, and he's on this call, and I'm helping him. He went from where he was at to 6 figures, and I would take him to 7 figures. And he asked me, he said, "When did you get that mental toughness?" Prior to when I went through my divorce, I started playing poker, and you know this. And I went from little doormat, guy was a doormat for everybody, to take no shit from nobody. Um, and it was because of poker, because you learn exactly what you're saying. Is what I loved about the game is you learned how to get people to talk, how to read their hand movements, body gestures, everything, and how to push certain people to know if you could break them or not, and how far you could push them, all that sort of thing. And that, I mean, it really, if I really were to look back and look at it, since Jason's on here, that's probably where a lot of it came from, because
yeah,
I'm not suggesting everybody do it, but it helped me deal with the pain I was going through. And at the time, I told him, I said, I'm not even here to play for the money. I could give a shit about the money. I'm just trying to deal with the crap I'm going through. And it helped me tremendously to go and say, okay. And I used to, just like in SEO, I used to go to work and come home. I'd study, I'd watch YouTube videos, study the top players, everything they were doing. Then I would go, and then I'd go to the poker room, and I wound up playing it that way, same way. A lot of times, and then it taught me, you'd be in a hand for 15 minutes, you thought you had the nuts, and then, oh yeah, you totally forgot about the royal straight flush versus the straight flush, or you forgot, something stupid. And Jason had one. You'd like this. He was playing some other form of poker. I forget. I think it's Chinese poker or something. And they literally threw away one of the kings. He had pocket kings. They give him 3 cards instead of 2. It's not Texas no limit. But it was another type, and he threw away one of the kings and kept the 6, and therefore he lost after he put all his money in. Stupid shit like that would happen in the poker room. You've got to be, if you can't, they tell you, if you can't handle the ups or you can't handle the downs, don't even try to go after the ups, because
yeah,
you got to go ride the roller coaster. And if you will, that's what really, really, really taught me to handle a lot of the crap, if you will.
yeah. I think it's important to put a caveat in here. Poker's like it's kind of a nasty game. Like and
Yep.
it's I don't
It's not.
advise.
It's not something I would ever advise anybody
Yeah,
ever to get into. And I know, it's just, you will lose more than you will win, because most of the top poker players will tell you, if you're winning like $100 a day, you're doing good, because most of them are not going to win. The people that
yeah.
win
That's
hit it
it's
big
very small
once, and then
percent.
they hit it big once, and then they invest, if they're smart, in the actual business, and then they get sponsorships. So, but yeah, I mean, mental toughness is probably the number one thing I'd say most people lack. Brayon, that's true. It's definitely lonely on this level. People around me cannot relate to the way I think or operate. Being around you guys is like a mental charge. It feels at home and like I belong. I appreciate that, Brayon. I know Patrick does too.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. One thing I want to what you mentioned a couple minutes ago, Brayon. Like you might not have these relationships yet, and you got to seek them out. That's been one of the big things for me is I've created a lot of friendships with people, and that's who I spend my time with. Right
yeah.
when I'm doing things, it's either going to be with my wife. I don't have any kids, but I'm in Nashville now. I moved to Nashville because I'm a part of that traffic and funnels, and like it's great to be the small fish, right? And running what's looking like 2 7-figure businesses, and being the person in the bottom like 20% is a great room to be in. So you have to kind of seek those out and find those people. Who are they going to be? There's probably people in your local community wherever you are that are playing big and doing big numbers, right? And there's groups, right? There's meetups. There's all different sorts of things. You just have to, put yourself in those situations and be shrewd and astute enough to, um, like, I know somebody in Mississippi that is like amazing. I don't know what city you're in, but I can connect. one of the guys who I really look up to is his name's Caleb. He's in this SEO world.
I know
He's
Caleb. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in
Yep.
Mississippi over there. There's these people exist in almost every city. You have to kind of locate them and seek them out. It's a strategy, right? It's
Yeah. They don't stand out like a sore thumb. You kind of have to go digging for them. Pretty
yeah,
much.
for sure. And look at these different groups. Even joining some of these, like, I think that BNI stuff is a lot of like small business owners. But if you go to, like, there's events and just kind of just keep looking for it until you find it, right? There's Toastmasters and these groups where people are trying to level up. That's a mindset, right? And when you go into those, you're going to find more people with that same mindset. And if you kind of dig deep enough, you're going to start finding some big ones, right? I'm in this this group for software companies with the guy who coaches it. His name's Dan Martell, and this one has, I think there's like 8 coaches in there that have done 8-figure exits in their business, and all these business owners. So there's 800 business owners in there, and they have live events. Paid a lot of money to be in this group, and now we're going to go to these live events where these people own big software companies, right? And now I get to, so I've forced that situation, and I've spent money to get myself in that room, but I'm confident in the return that comes from it. And it was a very strategic effort. It wasn't a coincidence, right? It's not a coincidence that I'm like in Nashville. I came here for the reason, because this group is based out of here. The people that are playing big are here. Now I'm like friends with these people. We're going out to dinner, and it's like I've forced myself into, and these aren't the people that I went to high school with. There's some people that I love that are my high school buddies that are like working 9-to-5 jobs. There's one guy that I've known since I was like 8 years old that works in he's like works as a cook in a restaurant for like $13 an hour. Like, I chose, even though I love him, I chose to spend a little bit less time with him, and I'm not getting as much from that relationship when we don't have stuff in common anymore. So I've like, some of us, we have these habits, so we just like keep these people, but and that's fine if that's where you want to go. But if you want to go to like bigger levels, if you want to like be in these more interesting conversations and run into people that are doing big things, and like, you've got to force that. There's a guy in this group who spoke. They do like a monthly event for this traffic and funnels thing, and the guy's doing $2.4 million a month, and he's 24 years old. And like, I went out to dinner with him, right? So like, I get to pick this guy's brain and kind of hear what he's doing. So again, I'm not advocating. This is a really expensive group to be in, and you got to do things that make sense at the right time, right? So maybe that's down the road. I would say most people in there are at 7 figures, and the price kind of prevents people from getting in there if you're not doing big numbers. So I just want to like caveat, I'm not advocating to go jump on that, but there's freer ways or local ways that you can get and try to create these connections, right? I can't hear you, William.
The people are out there. It's just a matter of actually looking for it and seeking them out per se. Well, we're about done here. Let's see, Region right outside of Jackson, right outside of Jackson.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where Caleb is. That's not where he is, but I know that he does like masterminds too, with like 25 people. You can come and pay to join his like mastermind for a little bit. You guys look, if you like what you heard with this, William, I'd love to have you come and be in our group too, and kind of like go both ways. But join the Lead Snap Rank and Rent Mastermind group that we have. You guys feel free to connect with me. My name is spelled just like it is on this stream here. Facebook's probably like one of the only people on Facebook.
That's really, the easiest way. If you can't find them physically, trust me, there are people in a lot of these mastermind groups that are making 7 figures. That have run. It's like someone, Patrick, myself, went from scratch to where we're at. So we can give you a lot of pointers that you're going to hear in a lot of these groups. And that's why it's better to pay to be in a lot of these groups. If you can't join a lot of these other ones, like I'll be starting probably in January or February, we'll be starting after Jason's here. We're going to be starting a mentorship program in which how to take someone from where they're at to 6 figures to 7 figures. Stuff like that. But There are people that do it, and then we do it online. And it's the reason why in our group, we have at least 5 days a week of classes most of the time, sometimes 7. So get into some groups like that you hear us talk about. Hang around some of the people you hear us talk about. He has his group that he runs every week, and all of them are agency owners. I know there's several 7-figure owners, and I know for a fact, so get in there and pick people's brains, and just hang out, so we're about done for the day. So next week we'll go over some more lead snap, if you will. This week is mainly mental, which I think is really good, to switch things up. And it's what people have been asking me a lot about. Brian, yeah, whenever the mentorship program comes out, I will definitely let you know, because basically it'll be in such a way, we'll have several different brackets, but one of which is going to be come over and be with me, and I basically hold you by the hand, train you exactly on what to do, and take you, if you're not at 6 figures, to 6 figures, and if you're not at 6, then to 7. So but yeah, that's ultimately what I want to do. But appreciate you guys. 2 Labs, we'll let you know whenever it happens, but for now, just come into the groups, hang out with people. Let me know, Patrick, whenever you run your groups, because I have to flip my calendar, if you will.
Yeah.
You're on the East Coast, so most of the time it's going to be on your time. But when you're in Paris, I know you'll probably change that too. So
yeah, we've had it at that time for a year. So I was actually thinking I was going to have like a late call, because it's at 7:30 Eastern, which is probably, I don't know what that translates to Filipino time, but
Eastern time is fine. 7:30. That'd be
7:30
7:30 a.m. 7:30 Eastern time will be. No, I couldn't do that, mainly because that would be 8:30 a.m. my time, and then my class starts at 9 a.m. my time.
Yeah, that's on Wednesdays.
So, yeah, that's 5 days a week for me. So it'd have to be after.
We could just maybe record one and throw it in.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. Actually, I think I signed up when there was like an option here on this stream. I think this might be streaming in my group, so I'm not sure.
It is.
But,
what happens whenever we go live, restream, one of the benefits of it is you can actually restream it across any of your groups, or if you have a YouTube channel. So, but yeah,
I'll never get that YouTube thing figured out. I'll have to play with that.
Yeah,
I've
definitely cracked it this time. We're hitting about 6,000 views every time we go up now. So
nice.
Thanks for the mental pep talk this morning. Now I'm going to attack today. Appreciate it, you guys, and we will definitely be back. And as always, we will see you guys again, next week. And I appreciate you guys being in here. Thank you so much again, Patrick, and you guys be blessed. Have a great day.
All right. Take care, friends.
So many SEOs that hate me and say that I'm stealing their methods. They bitching and cry, labeling me SEO Black Hat. Was a nobody, now I'm at the top. Most wanted, most loved, bad business owners, and hated by most SEO opponents. You think you're an SEO god?